Long ago, humanity built a supercomputer to simulate a civilization. The experiment was simple: to observe the rise of societies and the balance of power between creation and destruction. The world was designed with precision. 7 unique biomes on 8 by 8 chunk area, encased within an impenetrable bedrock border. And here our story begins.
In the vast of Minecraft, 7 kingdoms rule with their unique strengths: gold, rich and opulent; diamond, powerful and ambitious; iron, good at crafting strong weapons; obsidian, good at defending; and a bunch of other independent states that we are not going to talk about. So everything was all right when Diamond stopped getting army supplies from Lapis and invaded it. To survive, Lapis took over coal, but Gold allied with Diamond. Knowing that they can't fight both of them, Lapis joined Obsidian, while Gold fought with Diamond for land. But they're not good at long terms, and was pushed back. Iron seeks the opportunity and invaded Copper, but Obsidian stood on its way. Then, Diamond thought it is good to invade Iron, but Iron summoned an Iron Golem and pushed them back. While everyone is busy fighting, 2 powerful nations broke off, and a world war is coming.
The 2 nations were Redstone and Emerald, and to the surprise, Iron and Diamond allied together and attacked Redstone. But Redstone used TNTs, and the allies had to back off. Then, Iron sent a help message to Obsidian to help. Not knowing the threat, Redstone used TNTs again, but Obsidian is blast-proof, and Redstone was gone forever. Back to Gold. They were sick of their small territory and invaded Copper. Copper stands no chance, and has to back off. Then Gold allied with Emerald and attacked Diamond. Thanks to Obsidian, Diamond managed to get some of their land back, but Emerald is a bit too powerful for Obsidian to handle. Even worse, the new leader of Iron broke off from the Alliance and invaded Diamond as well. Obsidian was forced south, so they fought with the weaker enemy, Gold. But they forgot that Gold had improved their army, and Obsidian was pushed back again. To survive, Obsidian escaped to the Nether, and soon followed the others.
In the Nether there are 3 new kingdoms: the warts that had broken up, and netherite scraps. First, the warped wart invaded Nether wart, and Iron gave them some land to fight, and it continued. But netherite scraps is sick of them fighting and invaded them. Gold then allied with them and became one of the strongest kingdom, netherite. Then together with Iron, the warts were defeated, and Diamond brought land from Iron because of Emerald. Netherite invaded and defeated Emerald for the piece of Nether, and soon followed Copper, who is having a rebellion. Now only Obsidian remained, and both Diamond and Netherite invaded it for some classified information. Obsidian, being attacked, ran back to the overall world and soon followed Netherite. But the people of Gold didn't want to join Netherite, and they started a war. Copper joined Netherite for protection, while Obsidian seemed revenge on Emerald. But then both Iron and Diamond invaded Obsidian, and now it looks like Obsidian made a friendly sign for both of them. Then the people of Copper took over some of Gold's land, and a new enemy arrived, but it is not the Watermelon Kingdom. I will add it later.
The new nation was Endstone, and upon arrival, it made a ender portal, and everyone followed inside. In the end, there are 2 new kingdoms, Endstone and a one that I don't know what's it called. And first Gold invaded Copper, and Netherite defeated that nation. Then Diamond and Obsidian started a fight, and then 2 new nations took over Endstone, and they are Endstone Brick and Purple Block. First Iron invaded Purple Block, and together with Diamond, they defeated it. But Endstone Brick is a bit too hard for Iron to fight alone, so Netherite joined. But they still can't win. So Iron summoned another Iron Golem, and finally defeated it. Then they defeated the Ender Dragon and went back to the overworld.
Gold had always been treated badly by Obsidian, so they invaded it, and Obsidian was forced to stay in the Nether. Then Gold angered the Alliance, and they were pushed back too, to further punish Gold. The Alliance also went through, but what they found was a mess. While they are gone fighting, most of their territories broke off, and it is their job to fix it. But one kingdom stood on their way, crying Obsidian. They single-handedly defeated Gold, and only Iron's Golem can defeat them. But Obsidian hated their territory, so they invaded Netherite. But they forgot that they had weakened, and were defeated. Then a rebellion started in Iron, and it was the Kingdom of Melon led by Spabuglio.
Back to the overworld, Iron and Netherite swapped places, and Cake broke free from Iron. Then, Melon also came to the overworld, took over some of Diamond's territory. Then Diamond tried to invade Cake, but they were pushed back. Then, the new leader of Iron joined Netherite for protection, and soon does Cake. Then Netherite invaded Diamond and took over it. But in the Nether, the Council of Iron's territory hated what their leader had done, but was then defeated by Melon. Now, with two powerful nations left, a big war is inevitable.
The battle between the two kingdoms is draining them dry, but Melon still managed to get some of Netherite's territory, and Pumpkin broke free from Netherite. Now Netherite is having a hard time fighting, but still defeated Pumpkin. But then, a new nation invaded both Melon and Netherite, and they allied up. The new nation is Bedrock, and they soon defeated both Melon and Netherite, and they were forced to stay in the Nether, and there, Pumpkin, Iron, and Diamond gain independence. But it won't last long because they formed the Union of Java in order to fight Bedrock, and now the war between Java and Bedrock is coming. Java and Bedrock had now started a long and brutal fight, but Java managed to learn Bedrock's weaknesses and pushed them back. Then, Java came to the overworld and dominated the battlefield, but while they were doing that, Bedrock drove them out of the Nether, so they made a treaty. Java will control all of the overworld while Bedrock have the Nether, and all of the kingdoms in the Union of Java will have a piece of land in the end. Now everything is looking great. Every kingdoms have their land they wanted. Peace was brought to Minecraft until something bad happens.
The bad is the Agreement 6589, which increases the land in the end, which led to the Second Great Minecraft War. First, everyone is still happy with their land when Iron traded land, and Netherite's invasion to the south, which lead to the Obsidians forming a wall to protect the others, which is part of Netherite's plan. Then, Netherite and Iron allied together and defeated Redstone, while Netherite continues invading Obsidian. Obsidian then started invading Melon, so Iron summons another golem, weakening Obsidian so they can be defeated. But as the next Iron's leader rises to power, a rebellion starts that will change everything.
The rebellion even influenced Netherite, and soon later, they sieged Iron's capital and burned it down. With the new government in charge, Iron starts to help the weaker kingdoms and teaching them how to enchant their weapons. But some of Iron's military leaders who were exiled to Diamond brought them some enchantments to fight back. However, they were found and executed. But even with these new enchantments, Diamond still faced severe losses, so Gold allied with them to fight back. But this action was noticed by the Union of Java, so they expanded the Bedrock borders to protect the weaker and neutral kingdoms. Now, with 5 strong kingdoms left in the battlefield, a war is coming.
The battle has started, and before Diamond know it, the city of Stronghold and the others had been taken out, and Iron renamed it to Ironhold. Then, both Iron and Netherite started taking more land, but the territory was sieged by the reinforced Diamond and Gold's army. But with Lapis's help, they managed to push them back, and Netherite even cut Gold in two. So Diamond took over Gold and encircled Netherite's army. Lapis then attacked Diamond by surprise, so Diamond now refocused their army to Lapis, and a war is coming.
Diamond invaded Lapis and pushed them back a lot, but the Lapis's soldiers remembered what Diamond had done to them to escape to Obsidian, and with this anger to seek revenge in their hearts, they pushed Diamond back, not willing to leave anyone alive. Diamond, being overwhelmed by Lapis, took Netherite's army instead and parachuted their 5th Infantry Division into Lapis and took some land back. But with Iron's help, they pushed Diamond back. However, their supplies were cut out and has to give up. Diamond, not wanting to lose more people in the fight, made a treaty with Lapis, but was attacked by Netherite, so they refocused their army at Netherite again.
Diamond encircled Netherite's army again, so Iron gave Netherite some land, and summoned another golem, pushing Diamond back. But Diamond still managed to conquer some land from Netherite, so Netherite used the TNTs provided from Redstone to fight back. Then, the representative of Bedrock came to the end to have a meeting with the leaders of Iron, Diamond, Netherite, and Lapis, and the war has to stop for a short break from the exhaustion.
Because the kingdoms can't use force to fight, so in the meantime, they just traded land, get supplies from the neutral kingdoms like Melon and Obsidian, traded more land, and repeat. Finally, after a week or so, the leaders finally had a meeting. Lapis's leader being busy for some classified reasons have Iron to represent them. The representatives of Java and Bedrock informed the leaders that they only have a week left before they were forced to retreat, thinking that it will end the war. But instead, after the leaders return, they starts to expand their army, preparing for the final battle, the second battle of Ironhold Stronghold. The final battle had started, and Diamond quickly sieged Ironhold. Knowing the threat, the allied forces all went to defend Ironhold, trying to stop Diamond as long as possible before reinforcements arrived. Not long, the soldiers spotted a diamond battalion, rang the bell, and immediately went to their defense positions. The first line of Diamond's infantry rushed to the front gates, trying to break in with the archers providing a cover, and the rest of the army charging forward. It wasn't long before they broke through the first defense line and went inside, but they were then trapped and taken out. However, they also brought TNTs with them and began fighting the last defense line. The Netherite soldiers were strong, but Diamond still managed to defeat them, reconquering Ironhold and naming it back to Stronghold, while the people celebrated. Underneath the city, the survivors and the spy who had been lurking inside Diamond's army were planning a counterattack.
But before they can counterattack, they need a diversion. So they sacrificed the spy to assassinate Diamond's general, distracting Diamond, while snipers were parachuted into the city, trying to take some key positions. Then, when the reinforcements arrived, Lapis distracted Diamond, leaving their strike point undefended. While Diamond is focusing on Lapis, Iron and Netherite's army brought out a TNT cannon, blasted a wall in the city, and starts fighting the remaining soldiers. Then, the survivors came out and attacked the few defenders left. The battle is an absolute victory for the Alliance, and Stronghold back to Iron's control. The Alliance also celebrated their victory, and before Diamond can respond, the 7 days are over, and Diamond is declared defeated. To maintain peace in the end, Java is going to pick 3 kingdoms to be the peace representatives of the end. Melon, being the most liked kingdom by the viewers, was already promoted, and comment down the remaining 2 you wanted to include.
Finally, Iron and Netherite were voted as the other to peace representatives of the end, and after a quick land changing, the end is back to normal. But one day, inside a Lapis chemist lab, they found a new radioactive element, and after a successful bomb test, this new nuclear weapon could be the next generation of weapons to fight in wars. After this new weapon was discovered, almost everyone was shocked and scared, so the peace representatives came up to discuss about it. Iron and Bedrock insisted into declaring war on Lapis, but the rest agreed to prohibit and take away all the weapons produced, and shut down all of Lapis's chemist research labs. However, unknown to the Union, Lapis had stored some weapons in their secret bunker, which posed a threat to the peace everyone was hoping. And to make matters worse, a Lapis veteran living in Melon assassinated a Melon top general, and Melon declares war. And that was it. A war had started, and it is the third great Minecraft war. When the news that Melon had declared war on Lapis spread, people were more worried than ever, afraid that the war between the 2 giants would cause severe destruction and casualties. The first action taken to stop this crisis was a meeting made by the leaders of Java, Melon, and Lapis to weaken this tension. However, the action went backward, and the elite force was called to stop the fight between the leaders of Melon and Lapis. The war started without a doubt, and Lapis found them running away, although having way better gear. The peace representatives met again, and Netherite and Bedrock would support Melon, while Java and Iron disagreed on even starting the war at all, stating that it would be prevented if the security didn't let that veteran in. Meanwhile, Melon was pushing into Lapis, but the deeper they went, the more dangerous it would be. As the war went on, many Melon citizens living in Lapis found themselves being targeted by the local police, and the nearby kingdoms also found themselves being attacked by Lapis's army. Melon then sent a small force to support these kingdoms, but as they pushed deeper, they were met with heavier resistance, and the Lapis's leader even made a speech to recruit more people to join the army and fight back. And as they were prepared for a turning point, all they need is one victory near the Cobalt River.
Lucky for Lapis, they didn't wait long before Melon advanced toward the Cobalt River, and the chance for a comeback was here. The Melon army decided to bridge over the river, but the Lapis archers gave them a hard time. And even though they had a sheer number, they were no match for the TNT cannons and the few new numbers of the secret weapons, and after a few hours, the Melon army ran away defeated. Then, Melon was pushed out of Lapis's territory, and Lapis sieged Melon's capital, Etherholm. The end for Melon was near, so they advanced into Lapis for one last time, but they were bombarded with this new weapon Lapis called the Catalyst Core. The Melon army was blasted into bits, and Etherholm was in danger. The peace representatives met again, and this time, knowing that this Catalyst Core was a big threat to regaining peace in the end, Iron and Bedrock finally agreed to aid Melon. Iron sent their 72nd Infantry Division, and Netherite also sent their Union Elite Force to reinforce Melon's defense force. Lapis, who overheard this conversation, had no choice but to ally with Gold and Diamond, forming the Axis. And now, with both sides prepared for a fight, the Battle of Etherholm is coming. The Lapis army dug a trench encircling Etherholm, aiming to starve out its defenders. However, on the third day, the Lapis commander decided to launch a full assault. Lapis archers provided covering fire as waves of Lapis soldiers charged forward and blasted a massive hole through the city's front gates. But Melon had anticipated an attack through the gates and positioned their troops just behind to counter the initial surge. They fiercely clashed with Lapis soldiers, managing to hold them back. However, they hadn't accounted for Lapis's TNT cannons that soon leveled parts of the city's thick walls, and the wall crumbled down. With the city defenses faltering, Melon's forces began to lose hope. Just then, Union reinforcements arrived, led by Iron's infantry who caught the Lapis soldiers by surprise. Netherite's elite force launched a brutal ambush on the remaining Lapis troops entrenched outside the city. Seeing no end to the relentless reinforcements, Lapis's forces retreated, abandoning their hold on Etherholm. With the city secured, Melon reclaimed all the land they had lost, and Lapis was pushed back to defend their homeland once more. As the fight went on, Melon pushed deeper and deeper into Lapis territory, and Lapis, who was preparing for another comeback, only sent a small group of soldiers to target the Melon supply lines, but even they managed to outnumber Lapis. And they fought in the exact same place where Melon ran away months ago, but this time, Melon was more prepared than ever. Knowing all the weaknesses of the defense line, they quickly won the battle, found the remaining secret weapons, and advanced toward Lapis's capital, Lazelheim. Knowing that they won't win the battle, Lapis's leader ordered his men to build 3 layers of the front gate and put TNT underneath the city, blasting the Union's army when the city fell. And now, as the Union's army advanced closer and closer to Lazelheim, the Axis leaders met once again. The Union had arrived at the battlefield. Melon's army charged forward with Iron's archers firing as cover. Melon had brought 2 of the remaining 5 catalyst cores, and Iron had also brought an abandoned TNT cannon Lapis had used during the battle over the Cobalt River. The Melon army had defeated the first Lapis defense lines and brought the catalyst cores to the gates and blew it up. The explosion completely destroyed the gates and they stepped inside the city. To the other side, the TNT cannons had blasted a huge hole in the walls like the ones did on Etherholm, while a small group mined through the obsidian walls, and the city is attacked on 3 sides. Lapis's army fought hard, but they were outnumbered and outmatched. But just when hope was lost, the Lapis reinforcements led by Lapis's best general came to stop the Allies.
Luckily, the Union's army spotted the reinforcements, and the elite force, led by this guy, destroyed the reinforcements and Lapis's hope for a comeback. And as the final Lapis soldiers died, their allies had won the battle and the war. They had captured all the remaining survivors who had surrendered, but one Lapis general sneaked to the self-destruct lever and turned it. In a flash, the entire city exploded, and the rest survivors ignited the remaining TNTs in the houses and on the farm. After a few blinding, deafening seconds, all that was left of the city was a big crater and ruins of the amazing structures built. The Axis leaders, who were hidden underground, also ignited the explosives, while the Lapis's leader jumped off into the void. And that's it, Lapis surrendered, and the Third Great Minecraft War ended.
The war had ended, Lapis had become a puppet state of Melon, and the Union had established a new governed system built right on top of the ruins of Lazelheim that was quite similar to the United Nations. They called the United and Union. But still, peace is finally here, in the end. However, after the war ended, Lapis scientists who were still loyal to their old government were trying to invent a new potion that could turn ordinary mobs into strong war machines. But during an experiment, the catalyst core that powered the lab exploded, and all the scientists turned into smart, supernatural zombies. When they came up to the surface, they started terrorizing and infecting thousands of victims. Soon, the zombies had taken over and had leaked out. The United and Union met to discuss it, but no one had any ideas to stop the disease. So in the meantime, big cities around the end dimension began to set up rescue shelters for those survivors.
They finally agreed for Netherite to send a Division Union elite force as a sacrifice and set up a camera to view the zombies' abilities and weaknesses. The zombies wasted no time in defeating the soldiers and even blew up the camera. Seeing this, the UN decided to build a bedrock wall, splitting the world up and uniting every last kingdom into Java once and for all. And now, after turning half of the end into a wasteland, the zombies started to cross the bedrock wall. During a lab experiment inside a research laboratory, scientists found that healing potions deal way more damage to zombies. So now, with the Union elite force armed with dispensers full of healing potions, they successfully defeated the zombies, and the zombies were pushed back. Finally, within a month, the zombies were completely wiped out, turning the wastelands back to their original form. Next, the Golden Age started with a huge technological advancement and revolutionized the entire world. However, one day, some artificial intelligence robots awakened, and thinking that humans were not capable of handling this planet and must be overthrown, started attacking, and the elite force came to stop them. A big battle started between both sides, and with better PvP skills and tactics, the AI bots won without a doubt. Next, all the AI bots were united together to eliminate all of humanity, and the humans declared that they wouldn't surrender until every last one of them was gone. And just as things were getting out of hand, an alien civilization came to take over Earth for its natural resources during this human versus machine conflict. Now, humans needed to fight both sides at once. They knew it was a losing battle, so they tried to convince AI bots that aliens were more important to deal with first. AI eventually agreed, but just as they reached the aliens' main base, they found it destroyed with aliens laughing on its ruins. What happened was that the aliens had spotted the Alliance through their footage, and they knew colonizing Earth wouldn't be easy, so before the Allies had arrived at their main base, their leader ordered them to destroy to base and leave. So now, with the aliens gone, humans started attacking the AI bots again. It seems as if the humans would be completely wiped out, but in a top-secret bunker, they were hacking into the AI's system and shut them down. They need a distraction to keep the AI bots busy while hacking, so this skilled commander thought of a brilliant plan, which is to send over 20% of the entire elite force to one intercontinental island. It worked. In 1 week, more and more bots came to the island to deal with this giant army, and in the meantime, the Union had hacked into the AI's system and started to shut it down. Then, a Union scientist found out that water can destroy robots. And when the new elite force met AI bots again, they destroyed them with few casualties. Learning this, AI bots began to build waterproof bots, but before they could finish, a small squad found the factory and used the remaining catalyst core to blow it up. All the bots were destroyed, and humans began the reforming process. As the world recovers and starts to use a lot of energy, some crazy scientists built a lab that creates a similar copy of the Earth that can then be used to get the needed resources to power the entire world for over 10 centuries. However, after a few years, people began to notice that the two worlds were like eating each other up, and without turning it off, both worlds would be destroyed. And when the news that they already had a switch to do so, people protested, and the scientists had no choice but to turn it off, destroyed the copied world and get some energy and close up the lab. However, a small rebellion group led by Redswags wanted to overthrow Java and Bedrock, thinking that the government is corrupt and weakened.
The rebels then started to attack the protesters and even took some land from Java. The elite force was called cover to push back the rebels, but Redswags was once an elite top general, and with his mace, he destroyed the small squad. Java, who still wants to maintain peace, gave the rebels some land to stop their attacks. However, some people liked the protesters, and the elite force hated it, and they overthrew Java, forming the People's Republic of N Nations, while the rebels formed the Dark Shadow Alliance. The two nations didn't go along so well, and soon the Dark Shadow Alliance declared war.
Dark Shadow Alliance caught the Republic by surprise, and using their manpower advantage, they quickly had the Republic's army retreating. They used their tactical advantage and encirclement strategy to defeat more and more Republican forces and demanded their unconditional surrender. The Republic disagreed and pulled out the ancient TNT saved from the Second Great Minecraft War. It didn't do much, so the Republic summoned an ancient Iron Golem, taught by some retired Iron officers. It did push the Alliance back, but they soon recovered. Thinking they'd easily win the war, they gathered a huge army, aiming to destroy the Republic, which was just how they'd be lured into Republic's trap.
The Alliance soon encircled the city of Ashenvale and brought up their entire army, trying to bulldoze their way through the Republic. However, then they found themselves trapped, and a mole set up a catalyst core and blasted the entire army up. Without the manpower advantage, Redswags ordered a retreat. It soon became the turning point of the war, as the Republic's army found hope and pushed the Alliance further and further into their territory. They tried to launch another attack, but were pushed back even further. The Alliance tried everything to get some land back, but with their supply lines cut and their artillery destroyed, they only managed to squeeze a tiny piece of land out.
The Dark Shadow Alliance finally won some land back, but soon they lost it after another battle with the Republic. They were struggling to defend their remaining territory, and they were no match for the reinforced Republican army. Soon they needed to defend their main base, which is a giant, highly secured bastion with the best defensive system improved from lessons learned from past experiences. The bastion includes a throne room on the first floor and a war and armory room on the second layer, where the high officers would discuss war strategies and craft weapons and armor for their troops. Not long after, the Republican army arrived, and they quickly mined through the obsidian wall under heavy fire from the watchtowers. They distracted the Alliance's main defenders from sneak attacks, while a smaller group captured Red Swags. After learning the capture, the Alliance surrendered and the Republic slaughtered all of them and took over the bastion.
The Alliance elected another leader, but he was too weak, causing them to lose even more land. Soon after, the commander-in-chief of the Dark Shadow Alliance's army took over and finally won some land back. However, the already corrupt Alliance is now even weaker, and they soon declared their unconditional surrender. Red Swags was brought back to the Republic and forced to fight their most deadly commander to be freed. The battle was chaotic with lots of turning points, but Red Swags still made a brutal mistake that led to his death. The other top Alliance generals were either executed or life imprisoned. The remaining survivors knew that having more wars was inevitable, so they built a server that had a digitally simulated world that everyone uploaded their mind into, and everyone finally lived in peace.